Okay, let's unpack this. We have been handed, it's a huge stack of sources detailing a historical, really highly publicized 6-day visit by Molana Hazar Imam to the United States.
Right.
And this wasn't just, a simple diplomatic trip or some quick cultural exchange.
Not at all.
It was an incredibly complex series of civic engagements, institutional inaugurations, and these really deep community interactions strategically spread across 2 major hubs in Texas, of all places.
Indeed. And when you really look at this visit, which is documented so meticulously in these daily updates and press releases, you see so much more than just a schedule.
Okay.
You see a strategic blueprint. This is how a major global spiritual and institutional leader interacts with local governance, with civil society in a place like the United States.
Right.
So our core mission in this deep dive is to synthesize the major milestones of this historic week. We're going to pay particular attention to the inauguration of the first Ismaili Center in the U.S.
Which is a landmark.
A huge landmark. And maybe more importantly, analyze the core values that you see in every single event. Pluralism, sustained civic engagement, and proactive environmental stewardship.
It really is a profound journey, both, geographically and symbolically.
Yeah.
It feels like it marks a new chapter for the community here.
I think that's right.
We are starting off right at the epicenter in Texas, specifically Houston and Sugar Land, celebrating that massive new center, connecting with the community, the Jamat, and then we're going to follow the trip as it concludes with a high-profile series of meetings and civic honors hundreds of miles north in Dallas.
Get ready.
Yeah, get ready, because the level of detail, the planning, and the official recognition is honestly astonishing right from the moment we arrive.
From the wheels down on the tarmac.
The significance of the arrival itself is where we have to start. It just set this immediate tone of high formality and deep community integration. This was not a low-key arrival. This was a moment of profound institutional importance for the entire Jamaat across the United States. It felt like a combination of years of work.
Absolutely. The sources give us those specific details. The arrival was in the morning in Houston, and who was the very first group mobilized to greet him.
That's a critical point to note, isn't it? The visibility.
It is. The first people ready to greet Molana Hazar Imam were the Ismaili Girl and Boy Scouts.
Wow.
They came together for the flag ceremonies that marked the beginning of this historic day. That detail, the immediate involvement of the Scouts, it sets the tone.
It really does.
It says this visit is rooted in community, in tradition, and crucially in the future generation. It's a visual representation of discipline, of loyalty, of service right at the outset.
And it also wasn't just a solo trip or an administrative visit. The delegation itself highlighted the family's total dedication to this mission in the U.S.
That's correct. The sources confirm that Molana Hazar Imam was accompanied by Prince Amin, Prince Hussein, and Prince Ali Mohammed. And that just underscores the institutional weight, the intergenerational dedication and the continuity behind this mission.
Right.
This wasn't just a spiritual visit. It was a demonstration of a highly structured global institutional apparatus supporting the establishment of this new American center.
Okay, now let's dive into the sheer volume of civic recognition right out of the gate, starting in the city of Sugar Land.
Okay.
The sources make it very clear that the reception was robust. It showed these powerful, existing civic ties that made this whole welcome possible. What does that receiving line tell us about the community's integration?
Well, the reception in Sugar Land was highly coordinated. The receiving line included Mayor Carol McCatchen and the Mayor Pro Tem Rich Miller.
Mayor Pro Tem, too.
Yes, alongside the Ismaili Council for USA President Al Carmelina and other local Jamati leadership. The fact that the Mayor Pro Tem was involved and present indicates this isn't just a courtesy. It's a coordinated effort by the entire city administration to show respect and welcome. This wasn't a last-minute arrangement. It reflected deep, pre-existing relationships.
The symbolic gifts they exchanged, that tells a huge story about the community's positive impact on the area. It proves this deep dive has to be about impact, not just faith.
Absolutely. Molana Hazar Imam was gifted the key to the city of Sugar Land by Mayor McCatchen.
The key to the city.
And it wasn't just a polite ceremonial thing. The source specifies this was an explicit recognition of the Ismaili community's substantial contributions to the wider area.
So it's not just culturally, but civically, economically.
Exactly. A key to the city is one of the highest honors a municipality can bestow. It signals deep and respected integration.
That raises a really important question for me. What mechanisms, the NGOs, the volunteer hours, the investment, did the community already have in place to earn that kind of immediate high-level civic trust?
It must have been decades in the making.
It had to be.
Precisely. The sources imply a long history of quiet yet consistent civic participation. Organizations like the Aga Khan Foundation, the Ismaili Volunteer Corps, they are highly active.
Right.
So when a global leader visits, the local municipal leadership isn't just looking at the faith. They're looking at the quantifiable impact the community has had on schools, local charities, economic development. Those keys were a thank you for being productive, engaged citizens.
I also loved that the welcome wasn't just political and ceremonial. It had this powerful, youthful, and traditional element layered right on top.
That's a hallmark of these global visits, the blending of cultures. Following the honor guard, a musical ensemble made up of young people from the region performed both the American national anthem and the Nasheed Alima.
That blend is so powerful.
It is. The civic, the national anthem and the traditional, the Nasheed Alima, it just communicates this commitment to being fully engaged American citizens while maintaining a unique spiritual identity, a very deliberate and beautiful moment of cohesion.
And if getting one key to the city in the morning wasn't enough of a signal,
Right.
the afternoon just doubled down on the political significance. Later that same afternoon, Molana Hazar Imam heads into Houston proper, to City Hall.
That's right. He met with Houston's mayor, the Honorable John Whitmire,
Okay.
and in a gesture that the source describes as being full of genuine warmth and acknowledging the community's significant presence in Houston, Mayor Whitmire also presented him with the key to the city of Houston.
Wait, a second one.
A second one, 2 keys to the city from 2 different major Texas municipalities on the very first day of the visit.
That is truly stunning. I mean, in terms of civic visibility and recognition, that's almost unheard of.
It's incredible, and Mayor Whitmire's role didn't end there, which just further highlights how important Houston is as this new institutional headquarters.
Oh, what else?
He was designated as the chief guest at the opening ceremony of the Ismaili Center. That civic leadership endorsement is absolutely critical to the center's mission. It reinforces the idea that the city doesn't see this as some insular private project.
They see it as an
A
asset.
major civic and cultural asset for the entire city. That affirmation, coming from the highest elected official, ensures a strong relationship going forward. The groundwork laid on day 1 was just intensely focused on cooperation.
Let's shift now to the absolute focal point of this entire 6-day visit, the Ismaili Center Houston.
The centerpiece.
This was the centerpiece, the architectural commitment, the reason for so much of the official pomp. And Molana Hazar Imam presided over the opening ceremony. What's the institutional background here?
Well, this specific center holds immense significance. It was commissioned by Molana Karim and specifically designated as a Diamond Jubilee project.
Diamond Jubilee. So that places it in a very special historical context.
Exactly. It's for high-priority initiatives celebrating a major milestone for the imamate. These are critical, long-term investments in the global community's institutional network.
And structurally, it's a huge deal.
It's momentous because it is the first Ismaili Center in the United States, joining 6 others already established around the world, in cities like London, Lisbon, and Dubai.
So it's not just a beautiful religious building, it's a globally standardized institution making its debut in the U.S. That raises the question for me. Why Houston?
Right.
Why that particular city for the U.S. debut?
The choice of Houston is highly strategic, and the sources point to several factors. I mean, Houston is arguably one of the most diverse metropolitan areas in the entire country. It's a global energy hub, a massive medical center, and a city renowned for its tolerance, for its acceptance of multiple cultures and faiths.
So for a center dedicated to pluralism, it's the perfect fit.
It's the perfect fit. You have an immediate receptive audience, and, Houston also serves as a major gateway city to Latin America and the central U.S., so it maximizes its regional influence.
Let's talk about the architecture itself, because the sources really emphasize that the building is an expression of its mission.
It has to be.
The purpose is dialogue, so the architecture has to reflect that, right?
Absolutely. While we don't have a detailed architectural report, the sources explicitly quote the core intention. The center, as a physical structure, stands as a testament to the community's enduring presence and, crucially, its foundational values: pluralism, generosity, and care for those in need.
And the style, it's contemporary, but it has these classical Islamic design principles,
Yeah.
right? The focus on light, geometry.
That's it. It's designed to be welcoming, calming, and reflective. It's an architectural commitment to dialogue.
If we look at other Ismaili centers globally, they often integrate things like traditional courtyards or gardens. How does that kind of design philosophy relate back to this idea of pluralism?
It's a great question. Islamic architecture historically uses geometry, the circle, the octagon, the star, not just for decoration, but to symbolize the infinite nature of creation and the interconnectedness of all things. So these centers often incorporate open, light-filled spaces, sometimes with water features or gardens, designed to provide a sense of tranquility, a respite from the urban hustle. The idea is that these spaces are inherently non-sectarian.
So they're conducive to thought, to discussion.
Exactly. They are places for the meeting of minds, not just worship.
And the aspiration to build this center here wasn't new, was it? We heard this was a decades-long vision.
Yes. The sources confirm His Highness Prince Karim Aga Khan had a decades-long aspiration to establish an Ismaili Center in the United States. This wasn't a quick decision.
Well,
It required time for the community to mature, to integrate, to establish its civic credibility, which we just saw with the keys to the city.
right.
This inauguration was the triumphant culmination of that decades-long effort to create a physical space that would genuinely reflect the community's values in the Western world.
Okay, here is the crucial, so what insight? The detail that elevates this from just a community event to a major piece of civic infrastructure.
This is the most salient point.
The Imam made it clear that this center is not exclusive.
The sources are unambiguous on this. It is explicitly stated that this building may be called an Ismaili Center, but it is not just for Ismailis only.
Wow.
It is specifically declared to be for all Houstonians to use, a place open to all who seek knowledge, reflection, and dialogue, regardless of their background or faith.
That's a profound commitment to civic inclusion. They're effectively transforming the center into a public resource.
Funded by the community, but benefiting the entire city.
So if it's for all Houstonians, what kind of activities are expected to draw the wider public in, beyond just its architectural beauty?
Well, the sources outline goals that require deep public programming. The hope is that through engagement, through seminars, exhibitions, cultural programs, lecture series, the center will lift spirits and broaden horizons. The purpose is designed to transcend religious boundaries. More specifically, it's intended to bring people together, strengthen bonds, and help all collectively to bring happiness and harmony to societies.
So it's a center for education, for demonstrating compassion and respect in action.
Exactly. The emphasis is on common ground, intellectual curiosity, and shared humanity. And the ceremony itself cemented that purpose.
Tell me about it.
Well, it culminated in the official unveiling of the commemorative plaque. Then, following the formal program, Molana Hazar Imam and Mayor Whitmire took a joint tour of the new center, further cementing that critical civic connection.
That's a great visual.
It is. And then they joined dignitaries and guests for a reception. It's the highest level of institutional validation.
Speaking of civic connection, we have to talk about the sculptures that physically connect the center to the wider city landscape.
Yes, the tolerance statues.
The tolerance statues located nearby.
The geographical placement is so strategic, so intentional. This connection is not accidental. It's deliberate urban planning that communicates the community's values to every single person who walks by.
Tell us more about those. They didn't just appear overnight, did they?
They did not. They actually predate the center's opening. This beautiful group is made up of 7 sculptures commissioned by Molana Karim way back in 2011.
Years before.
Years before, in partnership with the city of Houston. They are large-scale, striking public art, and their purpose is purely symbolic, representing universal concepts of harmony, understanding, openness, and, of course, pluralism.
And the sources say it's no coincidence they sit right across the street.
Exactly. It's no coincidence because the center itself is dedicated to inter-community dialogue and togetherness, mirroring the exact message of the public art.
So the art and the architecture stand together.
They stand together in service of the very same core value. It's a public, tangible commitment to tolerance. It demonstrates that the community understands the language of public space.
It's like they created a physical preamble to the center itself.
That's a perfect way to put it. They prepared the civic environment for a cultural institution focused on bridging differences. So moving beyond the inauguration of the physical building, the visit was meticulously structured to include several dedicated gatherings. These were designed to foster connection and contemplation among the Jamat.
Right, so it was focused both outwardly on civic dialogue and inwardly on spiritual connection.
Precisely. Let's detail those specific internal gatherings, because the sheer scale required a massive non-traditional venue.
This wasn't happening in a small hall.
Absolutely not. The
Yeah.
size of the U.S. Jamaat required huge logistics. We know that 2 large-scale Dar sessions were granted.
A Dar session, for listeners who might not be familiar, is a profound, special gathering for spiritual engagement.
That's right. And these sessions were held at the NRG Center,
The NRG Center.
a massive public venue needed to accommodate the thousands of Jamaat members who traveled from all over: Austin, College Station, Corpus Christi, the greater Houston area.
The ability to mobilize that many people speaks to the organization of the community.
It really does. But the engagement wasn't just for the gathered Jamaat members. They intentionally included outside perspectives right at the new Ismaili Center, almost immediately after it opened. That's the second gathering, a critical multi-faith event. Multi-faith spouses and members representing diverse faith traditions gathered at the Ismaili Center. This session was designed for warmth, friendship, and the explicit goal of exchanging perspectives and celebrating shared familial values.
So it underscores the center's function as a hub for bridge building at a very personal family level. It shows that pluralism begins at home.
It really does.
I find the explicit focus on the youth and the future particularly compelling. This wasn't just about meeting established leaders. It was about investing in the next generation.
That's the strategic long view in action. A youth mulakat was held specifically for secondary students from across the country, and a mulakat is distinct from a dar. It's a specific meeting for guidance and direct connection.
And the location of this gathering is extremely significant.
Extremely. The newly opened Jamaat Khana at the center was designated by Molana Hazar Imam as the Durrana of the United States.
Wait, let's pause on that. The Durrana of the United States. What is the institutional and spiritual gravity of that designation? Why is that such a monumental moment?
That designation, Durrana, is central. It essentially means that the Houston Ismaili Center becomes the spiritual headquarters, the primary institutional nerve center for the entire American community.
Wow.
It consolidates spiritual and administrative direction. It gives the Houston location an immense religious and spiritual gravity that affects the entire U.S. community, solidifying its identity as the symbolic home for all American Murids, or followers.
And it was used for the first time for these young Murids to meet with the Imam.
Symbolically connecting the institution's future directly with the youth.
And the interaction with those secondary students also provided one of the most innovative artwork details of the entire visit. Fusing digital tech with education. Tell us about Faces of the Future.
Faces of the Future is a fantastic example of blending tradition, education, and modern technology. It's an interactive artwork created by secondary students. The physical piece is an arrangement of geometric octagons, which echoes the classical architecture. But this piece represents hundreds of higher education institutions across the country where Ismaili students are currently enrolled.
So the octagons physically link them to American academia and the interactive element.
When you scan the pieces of the octagons on your phone, the technology links you directly to student stories.
That's incredible.
It is. These stories detail the students' specific plans for how they'll use their education in medicine, engineering, public service, the arts, to contribute to society. It's a digital connection to the aspirations of the young generation.
So it's a dynamic, ever-changing portrait of their future impact.
Exactly. Now, beyond community and youth, the visit dedicated a major focus to one of the Imam's long-standing global concerns: environmental responsibility.
Stewardship.
Stewardship. And this was demonstrated through a powerful piece of collaborative art titled Unity in Motion.
What was the scope of this project?
It was a collective effort. This was a Southwest installation, one of 7 sustainability-focused art pieces created by the Jamats of the Southwestern jurisdiction. The crucial detail here is the medium.
Okay.
The entire installation was crafted entirely from recycled materials. This choice wasn't arbitrary. It reflects Molana Hazar Imam's enduring global commitment to environmental stewardship and a sustainable world.
So the art itself is a powerful metaphor, creating beauty and purpose out of waste. Unity in motion from recycled materials is a tangible representation of that value.
It's a physical demonstration of the ethic of stewardship. We have the tolerance statues outside reflecting pluralism, the faces of the future indoors reflecting education, and now this Unity in Motion piece showcasing environmental responsibility.
It's an integrated, robust cultural and ethical program.
It is. And amidst all this public and community engagement, there were also necessary high-level operational meetings.
Right, for institutional alignment.
Precisely. Molana Hazar Imam met with institutional leadership from across the United States. These were strategic sessions to understand priorities, current initiatives, and to ensure the direction of the community institutions in the U.S. aligns with the overall global vision.
After 4 intensely focused days in the Southwest, in Houston, a period characterized by, 2 keys to the city and a major institutional opening.
Right.
The narrative shifts. Molana Hazar Imam traveled north to Dallas to meet with the Central Region Jamat.
And the transition was handled with the same deep respect and ceremony. As he departed Houston, Ismaili scouts were once again on hand to bid farewell. Then, upon arrival in Dallas, the welcome mirrored the initial reception. Girl and Boy Scouts held a flag-raising ceremony honoring this first visit to Dallas.
So the Scouts are the constants, framing these momentous events.
They are, and Dallas proved to be just as, if not more, generous with its civic acknowledgement as Houston. This wasn't just a Dallas City affair, it was a broad regional embrace.
Who was there?
City leaders from Dallas, Carrollton, Plano, Euless, and Louisville, all cities where the Jamaat resides. The level of civic recognition was enormous, reflecting that the community's impact is spread across multiple municipalities.
What were the specific honors presented in Dallas? Let's tally this up.
Okay, the keys to the city were again a major feature. Molana Hazar Imam was presented with keys to the city from Dallas, Euless, and Carrollton.
3 more.
3 more. And in addition to those 3 keys, powerful proclamations were received from the cities of Plano and Louisville.
So we count them up, that's 5 keys to the city across a 6-day trip, plus 2 significant proclamations.
It's an absolutely unprecedented show of civic goodwill. The mayors were unanimous in acknowledging their warm relationships with the Jamaat and praising their consistent civic contributions.
The Dallas segment also included specialized meetings, again demonstrating that strategic focus on inclusion and critical demographics.
Yes. In Dallas, one of the meetings was specifically for the younger generation, ages 15 to 25, at the Dallas headquarters Jamat Khana. This is a crucial age bracket emerging university students and young professionals.
The future leaders.
The future leaders. And the focus on inclusion continued, particularly for families that bridge different backgrounds.
Right.
A very special meeting was held for multi-faith family members. This is a powerful signal of acceptance. And we have testimony from the sources stating that Molana Hazar Imam showed genuine curiosity.
Genuine curiosity.
That's the term used. Genuine curiosity about how these multi-faith families can engage meaningfully in the Ismaili community. This indicates a focus on ensuring the community remains welcoming and inclusive.
That specific detail, the genuine curiosity, gives this moment real emotional weight. It turns an administrative meeting into a deeply personal one.
It does. It highlights a key institutional challenge: how to adapt and ensure inclusivity in a diverse society without losing core values.
And the 6-day visit, it had to conclude somewhere.
It concluded with a final large Jamati Dar for the Jamats of the North Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Colorado, and New Mexico regions. This final gathering brought the central U.S. communities together for a special moment described as full of emotion and profound spiritual connection.
And as is often the case, there was a final historical gift presented upon departure on behalf of the entire USA Jamat.
This is one of the most powerful and symbolically rich connections to history in the entire source stack.
Oh, was it?
The item presented to Molana Hazar Imam was a remarkable and rare collection of 2,100 Fatimid coins and glass weights.
2,100 pieces. We can't just gloss over this. Why the Fatimid era, and why those specific artifacts as a farewell gift?
This choice connects the modern American community directly back to a golden period of Islamic history, the Fatimid Caliphate. These artifacts date back to the 10th and 11th centuries.
Okay.
This was a period of enormous intellectual, scientific, and cultural achievement, a time of great learning and institutional building, which is why institutions like Al-Azhar University were established.
So the gift isn't just old coins. It's a representation of a period where the institutional values, intellectual pursuit, cultural patronage, wide geographical reach were exemplified by the historical image.
Exactly. The Fatimid era represents a high point of institutional organization and cultural output. By presenting these coins, the American Jamat is stating that their new institution, the Houston Center, and their identity in the U.S. are rooted in this legacy of intellectual vibrancy.
And the geographical scope of these coins is important too.
Critically important. The collection covers a vast region extending from North Africa all the way to the Indian subcontinent.
That geographical spread is vital. It speaks to a global heritage that stretches far beyond any one region, linking East and West.
Presenting this collection is a profound two-part act. First, it honors the history of the Jamat. Second, it connects the contemporary American community's spiritual heritage to a 1,000-year global legacy that spanned continents.
It reinforces the idea that they are part of a continuous, globally conscious tradition, even as they root themselves deeply in American civic life.
What a way to cap off the 6 days.
The sources affirm that as Molana Hazar Imam departed, he left behind a joyous and inspired USA Jamat filled with hope and deep gratitude. It was a visit that didn't just reaffirm relationships, but really defined a new institutional era for the community in the United States. So if we look back at this intense 6-day period, the major themes were so consistent. Massive civic integration, 5 keys to the city institutional centralization, with the opening of the Dharana of the United States, and that intentional focus on the future through youth and sustainability.
What stands out to me, looking at the full spectrum, is the immediate and repeated assertion that the Ismaili Center is fundamentally a civic resource, a public good. It is a commitment built into stone and architecture that the community's identity is intrinsically linked to pluralism and dialogue. The center is framed not as exclusive, but as a public asset meant to bring harmony to the wider society.
So, what does this all mean for the learner? Beyond the ceremonies and the greetings, the sources show a deliberate global strategy playing out on a local stage. This is a template, isn't it?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this visit serves as a blueprint for how other global institutions can intentionally root themselves in local civic and pluralistic endeavors.
Right.
They don't just talk about their values, they express them through tangible public projects. The center's architecture, the message of the tolerance statues, the recycled art, all of these are chosen to communicate core values to the wider world. It is an active demonstration of high-level citizenship.
It's a compelling case study that is a perfect final synthesis. But for our listener, the learner, let's leave them with one final thought to explore on their own.
Excellent idea. Let's send them off with something to chew on.
Okay. Given the enormous historical emphasis placed on that final gift, that collection of 2,100 Fatimid coins and weights from the 10th and 11th centuries, an era of unparalleled scientific and cultural patronage, how might this intentional historical reference to a golden age of Islamic intellectualism now shape the educational and outreach programming chosen by the new Dharana of the United States in the decades to come?
A profound question, connecting institutional memory to future mission.
It's a fascinating connection to contemplate. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the sources detailing this historic U.S. visit. We'll see you next time.